I'm still here. Any better? Hi, everybody. Let us know if you can hear us. We're trying to get started here. I know I can see Leanne is a bit frozen and she says I'm frozen. So let us know if you can hear and see either one of us. Hi, Deb. Hi, Yancy. Hello, Janice. Hi, Anita. Minnesota. Well, I think Leanne might have something to say about that. welcome, everybody. So again, if you're just joining us, it seems like we might be having some tech issues. So, even if you can't just, in addition to saying hi, can you say, oh yeah, you can and see me. Okay, thanks, Yancy. And I think it looks like Leanne might be trying to come back on. So hopefully this goes well as it can. And we're just trying to make sure everyone can hear us and see us. So welcome. Can you hear us now?
What's going on? Hi, everyone. If you could type into the chat, if you can hear Coach Leanne. I know Jen was here and somehow or another, she got bumped. Let me see if I can put her back in. Super strange. If you can hear me, Coach Leanne, on this live, will you let us know? Can you type it in? Hi, Kathy. Hi, Janice. Hi, Amy, Sherry, Maria. Can you let me know if you can hear me, Coach Leanne? I would appreciate it. All right, I'm looking both places.
Yeah, looks like they can.
Okay, Leanne, you can hear me. All right, I cannot hear Jen. So something weird's going on here. We are having technical challenges, but we are not going to let that stop us from being here. Okay, you can hear me. You hear Jen. Our friends, if you could let me know, because Jen, I can't hear. If you can. Hi, Jen, are you there?
Oh, yeah. They can hear me. They can see me right from the beginning.
Okay, so Jen is here and I am here, but we can't hear each other. This ought to be a challenge.
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to. Okay, you can hear Leanne.
Yeah.
All right, praise God. Here we are. We are live on Leslie's page, and we are not sure what's going on here in this space. We are here to talk about the power of group coaching. We are here to talk about all things wonderful with group coaching. Let me just check and see what is going on.
So the other thing I'm noticing, yeah, she can't hear me, sorry. I'm also noticing that we're not connected to the Moving Beyond page. So we're on Leslie's public page, so always be mindful of that when you comment. And we're on YouTube. But we don't seem to be broadcasting to our private page for the Moving Beyond Challenge. So that's okay. We will always persevere. We know that it's the enemy's attack when these things come on. So in the meantime, it looks like we've lost Leanne again, but that's okay. We'll get this figured out, and we'll just go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everybody here today, and I believe Jessica is in behind the scenes helping us out. So if you have questions around today's topic, which is the power of group coaching, please feel free to either enter them into the chat or Jessica can post a link where you can get all of your questions sort of put together where she can share them with us. And then we'll take time before we leave in the hour to be able to maybe answer some of those questions. So the power of group coaching. So let me know in the chat if any of you actually got to do our little taste of coaching yesterday. We gave away an hour of group coaching with all 5 of Leslie's coaches, myself included. yesterday. So maybe just give us a bit of a shout or a hands up or something where you can let us know if you actually got to participate in that. Oh, so Dion, good for you. And let us know how that was for you, because I would love to hear more about someone's maybe first time experience. Also, maybe let me know if you've ever participated in a group coaching sort of environment. So it could be a support group that might be led by a peer. Hey, maybe it's like a small group for church that's led by one of your church leaders or your pastor, or somebody like that. I think that would be really helpful to know, because I think already you'd be hitting the ground running and be able to understand exactly how powerful this is. So Leanne, we see you're back. Can you hear us yet? No, still can't hear me. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. We can hear you and see you, even though you freeze up a little bit.
I can't hear you. So I'm gonna yield.
Okay. Yeah, and that's too bad. So I'm hearing Bible study. Patricia got to participate yesterday. Is that what you're saying? I did. So I hope that was powerful for you. I'm sure as some of the feedback we've had, it just wasn't long enough because people were just starting to sink their teeth into it. But it's just so amazing. So we really wanted to invite you to understand from our perspective what it's like, at least from mine, to be both a part of a group and then also, the experience of being a leader in a group. And I think, or like Pat's saying, so you've participated and facilitated. So it's all really, really powerful stuff. I don't think I need to tell you, what God says about community, about the church. He always wanted us to be a collective, a group of people gathering where there's two or more. We know the power in that already, don't we? And so when you can pull together incredible women, like we're trying to do here, like we do in all our group coaching offerings, the idea is that it's meant to be the collective wisdom of the group. So it's not just one person, it's the power of the Holy Spirit coming through everybody that's there. And all the while, maybe learning something new. You get to learn some new communication skills, maybe learn how to share the space, maybe learn how to budget time a little bit better. Because I know for some of us, this could be the first place we've ever felt safe to share our story or open up. And we have to be respectful in a group setting to give everyone sort of equal airtime. So we want to make sure that we learn how to budget ourselves in terms of our sharing. So my husband always jokes, because I use this quote all the time. I don't even know if it was by Mark Twain, but it's, if I had more time, I'd write a shorter letter. And I've always loved that, because if we could just go on and on and on, we could talk forever. But to actually be succinct and learn really good, clear, concise communication skills takes a lot of effort. It really, really does. So that's part of what the group coaching experience might lead towards for you as well. So I'm hearing that some people were really glad about yesterday. You're learning so much. Thanks, Darlene. Darlene saying she did a few group coaching groups with a counselor leader and about boundaries. That's fantastic. I love that. I'd love to hear what kind of topics that you've covered as well. So hi, Terry. Thanks for being here. I just love seeing all these familiar faces and the new ones as well. So let me know in the chat if there were particular topics that you covered in a small group setting, or if there are topics that you might like to have covered in a small group setting. I know what we have coming up is our Moving Beyond People Pleasing. So many of you might have participated in our Moving Beyond Challenge last week, where we had 5 days of prompts in the morning, followed up by lives that day, a lot of engagement, private Facebook page. It's been really, really powerful for me to participate in and also watch. So give a shout out into the chat as well if you participated in the actual challenge, because that's separate from what we're leading into now, but it is a perfect segue. So coming up, starting the week of July 7th, so you still have time to sign up. We have our coaching groups that are designed as our sort of summer special. So the groups are slightly larger than we might normally do in the fall and in the winter. They're up to 25 people, but still just as powerful. And this time, for 6 weeks in a row, we are going to do content and engagement and have a lot of Leslie's wise words be shared with us through video, and then through your coaches, and then through communicating with each other. We're going to learn how to move beyond people pleasing. So if that's something that's a challenge for you, that, I know I'm still recovering from it. I catch myself still to this day, not like I used to. I've done a lot of healing work, but I can still catch myself, and I can always use this refresher going forward. So I think it would be really a great idea for you to consider this. But what's really most important is just understanding and maybe having the courage, because it does take a lot of courage, I know, to step into a group of strangers. It's sometimes scary enough just to walk into a coach's office or have a virtual one-on-one with someone like me, or maybe a pastor or a therapist. This is about you, your most vulnerable moments, what's hurting you, what goals you might have that you maybe have never shared with anybody before, your pain. And so to walk into a group of mere strangers can be very, very hard. So if you can relate to that, just give us a shout out in the chat, because I want you to know you're not alone. So just like a hand up, or like Leanne said yesterday, put a 1 into the chat. 1 if you can totally relate to. It's a little bit scary to get into a group with strangers and share your heart, because I completely understand. So put a 1 in the chat if you can relate to that. And hopefully I maybe will be able to put you at ease a little bit, because the one thing is, this will be the best club you may not have ever wanted to be a part of. And when I say that, I take pride in our team making this the best, most possible, and safest opportunity for you. So when we say that, we value confidentiality. We value being able to share your heart. We value respect for each other. We value the time that it takes to share. So not only do we have a group of up to 25 women in each of our classes, but during our 90 minutes together each week, we will actually break up into much smaller groups, usually partners or 3. And so that makes it even more intimate, and hopefully ever so slightly less scary, because now you're not speaking in front of 20 something women, you're speaking maybe in front of 2 more. But I can assure you that every single woman that signs up for this is in the same situation, similar situation. She's there because she wants to overcome her own version of people pleasing. So we all come into this pretty level, on some pretty level playing fields there. So I just want to invite you again to let me know if this is maybe your first time experience with the idea of a group environment, and if it's scary. So you can type in a 1 if you'd like to be able to learn more. So for those that have experienced a group setting before, as a lot of you mentioned to me earlier in the chat, tell me what it is that you loved the most about it, maybe just in 1 word. How would you best describe your experience when you were able to share and participate in a group of whatever capacity? I would love to be able to hear what your sort of biggest takeaways were from just that experience. I know for me, having, as some of you may know, my background is in betrayal trauma for the most part, long before I came onto Leslie's team. And I myself and the partner of a sex addict. And so my group saved my life. It sounds dramatic, but they did. And I did have to find my tribe, as they say. I did move from a couple of different groups before I found really the right connections that I had with people. And when I say that, I'm talking spiritually, emotionally, energetically. It takes a little while to find those people, and not everyone in the group is going to jive together, right? So sometimes it's just important to recognize that, hey, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people I can really connect with. But those are 2, 3, 4, 5 people that if it hadn't been for Leslie's ministry and this incredible work, you never would have met. It's God bringing us all together from around the world. So it's an amazing opportunity for us to share those things. And I think I saw it, like I felt heard and got feedback from others. I could be anonymous, feel supported, feeling less alone, learning. Yeah. Leanne, we see you're back. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yay! Yay! Yes.
Hey, my friends. Hey, Coach Jen. I am on my phone. Can you believe my phone has better bandwidth than my computer? All right.
Yep.
So here we go. We persevered.
Yes,
and we did. Thank you for your patience. And I have no idea what you've been talking about, except I know that we're talking about the power of groups. I have no idea what you have just said.
Yeah.
And I am super excited. So I have, yay, thank you for the yay, Leanne. You know, this is what we do. This is why we're stronger together. And I think this might have happened for our benefit today, Jen. The power of a group, the power of not walking alone, not being in isolation, not thinking you can figure everything out by yourself. I sure couldn't. I'm on travel right now, and I should be having some of the best internet in the world because I am at our faithful public libraries. For whatever reason, maybe it's for all of our benefit, to realize that we are stronger together, and the power of the group is being encouraged and appreciated by me right now.
Yes.
And always finding a way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I'm so glad that you were able to get connected, because that's exactly what we were talking about, is that power of connection. So we've had lots here, Leanne, that participated yesterday. So
Great.
They've had a taste. We've got women here that have in some way, shape, or form participated in a small group setting, so they understand what that's like. And we've also had women that, like, I took an idea from you yesterday, type a 1 into the chat if this is like making you nervous, freaking you out, the idea of sharing for the first time in front of strangers, right? So that, I mean, I'm not just talking here, I'm talking when you picture, you know, the 25 of us in a room, in a Zoom room. But then we were jumping towards the idea of just how powerful it is. So some women were commenting on the benefits of being in a group. So feeling heard, not feeling alone, being somewhat anonymous. You know, like, I mean, there are people maybe in your community that your more personal day-to-day life that you're just not quite feeling safe yet, or you don't know, but this is your opportunity to get safe.
Yeah.
Really get safe with people that understand. So as we move into the moving beyond people pleasing group coaching experience, it doesn't matter where your people pleasing skills lie at that moment. We're all coming into this with some desire to overcome it.
Boy, we sure are. And I think, as all of us know here in the space, I love that you brought that up, Jen. And I'm kind of feeling like a little bit of an overcomer right now. And many of you may wonder, what does it mean for me to overcome that fear of connecting with people that I don't know? And I'll tell you what, I don't know a lot of you here in the space. I see some of our faithful followers and participants here in the feed as well. I'm trying to get the feed to come up, and it's not all coming up. And sometimes technology is our friend and sometimes it's not. One thing that we always know is that when somebody is on the other end holding us up, we can feel strength from that. And so I knew you all could hear Jen. I knew she was there. I knew that if I persevered and pushed through, that somehow or another I would get here, because I feel like God has a message for all of us here in this space. And, for me, just knowing that I have friends in Facebook land and YouTube land and wherever else we might be landing right now, And we have that in our groups. You know what's super fun is what we have seen in our group coaching experiences is that friendships are built. Some of those friendships become so close and long lasting, even if you are from different parts of the world, different countries, different time zones. You know, Jen, when I think of group work, when I think of how you and I first met, and I think about how we met during a group training, right, to become coaches together. Had it not been for that group that we were in, we perhaps may not be sitting here right now, side by side, facilitating, leading, and empowering women in our groups together. And so I'm just a little bit humbled by that truth as well today. It has not only built our professional lives, but it has built our personal lives as well.
Absolutely.
In community with one another.
Oh, amen. Amen. Yes, I did share just briefly that my experience in small groups, the church I previously belonged to didn't have that, or if they did, it was retired people, you know, Tuesdays at 10 o'clock where I couldn't go do a Bible study. I was still working outside the home at the time. And then fast forward to when I discovered I was the partner of a sex addict. And I said, at the risk of sounding dramatic, those women in my small group saved my life. They really did. They were my lifeline. And I needed it. And they lifted me up. And to your point, Leanne, I mean, I got connected to women from all around the world. I've gone to travel to see them in person. I've been invited to their kids' weddings, you know, 12 years later or whatever. It became so much more than just, I'm here to support you and you to support me, and this is what we're learning together. It grew into friendships that were so intense, are so intense to this day, that hardly even compare to some of the friendships I'm still blessed to have since like grade 6.
Absolutely.
You know, it's the quality, not always the quantity. And that's what we want to do here, is provide that quality kind of experience. And even though we only have what feels like 6 short weeks, and it'll fly by, right, Leanne?
Well, it does fly by.
It does. But when we give it our all, and you commit to this and you show up, what have you got to lose? You have everything to gain. God has brought us together for a reason. Just like he brought Leanne and I together. Who would have known? And maybe you've seen us talk about our story before, because it's nothing short of God bringing us together. And that's what God's doing right now. He knew this before any of us were born, that we'd all be on this page together today, or possibly in the groups that we're going to be in the next couple of weeks. So I don't know. What's your experience, Leanne, with being in a small group, intimate?
Yeah, you know, thank you, Jen, for that. And I think for me, I've been in small groups since, you know, I came to know Christ in my 20s after my first child was born. And, you know, he was a preemie, and it was scary. And we didn't know if he'd make it. So I don't know how many of you know that part of my story. And I'm sorry if I'm a little wobbly. I am having to hold my phone because I have no way to prop it up. I'm in a study room. And
you're good. Okay. I'm just so glad you're here.
Well, I am too. So, you know, when I prayed to receive Christ back 34 years ago, we were in a small group in our church. And when I was to have my second child, I was bedridden. I couldn't get out of bed from October until January. All right. And so we had a small group of people, women, that I was surrounded with that helped me. That was my first touch of the power when women gather with Jesus as their center to support and encourage one another. They brought me meals. They helped take care of my son, and they helped me with my emotional, physical, and mental well-being. Okay. And then fast forward many years when I became an empty nester and life started to get a little rattly and shaky for me in my relationships, in my identity work, in many different things. And God called me into coaching. And I found a network of people, colleagues, as well as coaches, who lifted me up, challenged me, and inspired me to be more than I ever thought I could be do more than I ever thought I could do, and grow in ways I never thought I could grow in. And so ever since then, the last 10 years, I have been involved in some sort of a group coaching situation, whether it be facilitating them, leading them, being part of them, creating them, and growing them. Mm-hmm. And never once in my life now will I move forward without a group coaching experience within my grasp.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I see, the friendship, the awareness that it helped me to build, the empathy, Jen, that it helped me to grow into as I walk with women like me and unlike me, mm-hmm. who get me and who don't get me. There's beauty in both because they help me to see things I never could see on my own. So I'll pause there for a minute and toss it back to you, my friend. What else have you noticed?
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for sharing that and such a personal experience and account of, I mean, it was life-saving for you, life-saving for your baby, right?
It was a lifeline for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, and so, yeah, we're not being dramatic. It truly is. It truly is life-saving. And I think I feel the same way as a coach now, but as having been a participant, I cannot believe how much I learned, the collective wisdom of the group coming together, that, you and I can prepare as much as we can, and we do. And as a team, we all put our hearts and our heads into this, and we try to, show up as best we can. But sometimes just boom, one of the group members will show up with just the best scripture for something that I just never even crossed my mind when I was praying about it. Or, just a certain somebody's experience, but the way it's described just is a perfect analogy for so many in the group that so many feel heard and they can relate to. And when I get to sit back and experience that firsthand, it's so amazing. It enriches my life to no other. That's why I don't know about you, Leanne, but at the end of one of my groups, it's all I can do not to get all teary and not miss everybody when they get wrapped up. But that doesn't mean that those friendships ever have to stop. I mean, you and I both know how many of our groups keep going long after we're officially done. They have their own Zoom coffee chats. And I know myself, both in my private practice, mostly I still have women that gather once a year from previous groups that we've had to just stay close to each other. It's absolutely amazing when you watch us thrive in this kind of safe environment with people, like I said, that may feel like strangers, but Leanne and I and the whole team, we work really, really hard to set the environment, with God's blessing, of course, to do everything we can to make you feel safe, whatever that means to you. So maybe type into the chat what feeling safe in a group would look like, so that we have a better understanding. We've been doing this a long time, but we don't like to make assumptions.
No, and we would love, we are here to serve you at whatever capacity. And so you clicked on this for a reason today, to be here live with Coach Jen and I. And we would love to hear, what does safety feel like to you? So if you were to enter into a group, how will you know that you're safe in that group? Would love to hear about that. And, when we think about, I love that. Look at that. You've got a gal from your core group that is here.
I know.
And you're staying in contact.
Oh, I know. There's a few of them in here, and I'm jealous because they're all staying in touch.
I know, right? We get a little bit jelly because watch.
Oh, you cut up a little bit, Leanne. I don't know if you can hear. Yeah, you've broken up a little bit. So I don't know if you can still hear me, everyone, hopefully, because Leanne's frozen right now. I'm loving the no judgment thing. Oh my goodness. We do everything we can to make sure. So let's get right down into the nitty gritty here. Okay. So yes, thank you for answering this and what it means to feel safe in a group, but also ask your questions. Jessica's helping us out in behind the scenes to collect the questions that we can answer about the group coaching experience. So, it's the idea of that no judgment. So absolutely. I know we have a group values sort of document that we review at the beginning of each session, and I hand it out to all of my group members. And the main thing around that no judgment is that we don't ever tell anyone else what to do, ever. We may welcome feedback. So let's say you just shared. So Carol can attest to this. So Carol, I'll just use you as an example quickly. And I might say to Carol, okay, thank you for sharing that. Are you open to any feedback? And Carol has every right to say, no, I just needed to share. I'm good. Or yeah. And then that's when, I'll facilitate and I'll look around the Zoom room and invite people to speak into it. But not once have I ever had to stop a woman because she goes on to some sort of rant or soapbox telling Carol what to do. No. And I think that's really important for all of you to know, that we work really hard to maintain that environment of safety and non-judgment. Because plank out of my own eye first, right? I never would have thought I'd be the partner of someone that has been unfaithful. So I would never dare judge anybody else's situation. And I stayed in my relationship. So I think it's important that I think that's one of the biggest levels of safety, is the non-judgment. Can you hear us again, Leanne?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. But yeah, so we were just talking about when we were asking that question around what would make us feel safe. So a few of the comments were around, that environment of non-judgment. Yeah. So I just gave some thoughts about that and how we, like I said, let's get down into the nitty gritty, like in terms of the group experience, where I know in my groups, or in all of our groups, we share the group values, right from the beginning. And one of them is not telling others what to do.
That's right.
We don't. And so I don't know what else you maybe have from personal or professional perspectives that you can feed into that idea of non-judgment. What would you say?
I would add to that curiosity.
Yeah.
Instead of being judgmental, be curious and be a willing listener and a space holder for the other women in your group. That's a beautiful thing to do. I have a dear friend of mine here in Colorado that gave me this today.
What is that? It looks like a magic wand.
It is.
That the flowers pop out of.
Yeah. So she gave me this today, and we were talking about. And so I said, I'm going to use this on the live today. And I thought, all right, girls, so here's the deal. While you have me here for a second. Uh-oh, did you lose me again?
I can hear you, but now you just went blank. There you are. Okay.
All right. So if I were to take this wand and I were to wave it, and I were to ask you, what would a amazing group experience, if you could imagine the best group experience this summer, what would it look like? Imagine what it could look like. Can you create in your mind, can you have a vision about what God could do if you were gathered together with other women, Christian women who wanted the same path as you, who were working toward the same goal as you are of moving beyond people pleasing?
Yeah.
Right? And so imagine, what would that be like if you actually were able to, in 6 weeks' time, move beyond the hiccups, the goofies, the sticky points. Some of you talk about quicksand that holds you back from speaking up for yourself. What would be different for you? Imagine, just imagine what that would be like. And so just curious.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love your magic wand idea. I do. And that's such a powerful example of, putting it out to the Lord and saying, like, I have the chance here to do something and be different in 6 weeks' time. And if I can it just came to my mind too, around the safety aspect too, Leanne. So when we're talking about what would you want out of this whole 6 weeks, like if you had this magic wand kind of idea, I'm also thinking about, I want to recognize too, from a safety perspective, that everyone's coming into this at different parts of their own story.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So many times I've heard, oh, my story's not as bad as so-and-so's, or my husband was worse than so-and-so's. It's like, no, all I ever ask you is, how does that make you feel? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? What are you going through? That's where you find that we're on the same level playing field. And I think that's part of the experience here. So when we want to be different, it's not because we're trying to compare. So go back to that non-judgment. Use non-judgment on yourself.
Amen.
There are no situations here that are better or worse than anybody else's. They just are. And you're here today and hopefully joining one of our groups so that you can learn how to be different, to do something different within 6 weeks. And I think that's part of the non-judgment, both on ourselves and then as a group. We can't judge because everyone's at a different part of their own journey, a different age, different marital status. This isn't even about this isn't about marriages. This is about people pleasing, right? So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that got said around the non-judgment, because non-judgment applies to us first, ourselves.
It doesn't. We can be so hard on ourselves, and that means not judging yourself about where you have slipped or fallen or tripped or where you've soared, but letting go of the judgment that you can have on yourself and that critical voice in your head. And, that's something that I really appreciate about our groups as well, is we really hone our communication skills with each other. And so we learn to talk kinder to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We learn to connect deeper with God. We learn to receive and give feedback. It's such a beautiful, mutual giving and receiving safe space. And Leslie has created amazing curriculum for us to go through. Mm-hmm. This program is so valuable. We have women that have done this program over and over again.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a summer club.
And here's the deal. We're at different spaces this year than we were at last year. We had some gals in our group yesterday that said, I did this before. I can't wait to do it again, because now I'm at a different space than where I am now. And this is the beautiful thing about our growing and learning. We're never going to fully arrive, my friends, until the Lord calls us home. That's right. What we can now is to take the steps to gain our strength, to learn to communicate in stronger ways, to foster empathy, to grow our awareness. And then guess what? How many of you want to strengthen some problem-solving skills? Maybe you've got some challenges in your own life when it comes to people pleasing. Maybe you are an overer like I used to be.
And I'm still the overs. Can anyone relate to the overs? Over functioning, taking over responsibility, overachieving, over, right? It's that word over in and of itself is a judgment word, because it's saying something is greater than something else. But we're talking about the context when we know it hurts our heart. It hurts our spirit. It gets in the way of the energy that we might otherwise have to spend with the Lord or for advancing his kingdom. And I think that's ultimately what we could all say we want out of this, is to use our time, be good stewards of our time, of our energy, of our talents. And if we're so consumed by pleasing people, it really does tell me, I know for me, it took away from other experiences I could have had.
Oh, I love that you brought that up, Jen. It's so true, because we only have so much. We've been talking about these last couple of weeks that we are limited human beings. God is the only one who is limitless. We are limited human beings. And so what will we do with our limitedness? And it's okay to say that you're limited. I am so limited.
Oh, yeah.
I only have, and just like I'm having bandwidth issues, apparently, we only have so much bandwidth in life. What will we do with the life that God has given us? Will we continue to stay stuck in people pleasing, unhealthy people pleasing, or will we move beyond that? Because if we only have so much bandwidth, we get to choose how we use it. Yeah. We choose how much we engage or not engage. And are we living within the boundaries that the Lord has put on our lives to keep us safe, to keep us our best self?
Amen. I love that. I really do. And I also want to go back to something you had said just a few moments ago too, about the content. So for those, I know we've got some newer people here that may not be as familiar with Leslie's work, but for those that are, you understand that she is extremely wise. Her content in anything that she shares, whether it's through lives like this or her videos or the actual group coaching programs that she's developed, are so rich, just so very rich. And we also know that you're very smart women and can read and can watch videos. We know that. So Leslie knows that. Leslie knows that you can read and watch this stuff and decide to apply it if you wanted to your own life. But the group coaching experience takes that to the next level with us, because we don't just review and regurgitate the same content you just did for homework, for example. We then take it and get you, maybe like you just said, Leanne, it was around, I think you said something about communication or something. Like, we take things like that and we learn to practice. How do we say no? How do we say? So you can read and watch Leslie talk to you about how to say no. But then in the group coaching setting, we have conversations about it. We have like, oh, it was so awkward when so-and-so came up to me at church and I was feeling like this and I couldn't say no. We'll take it and we'll practice. And that's not the same accountability as you have just watching something on your own or reading something on your own. And so I wanted to highlight that because you had mentioned something like that a long time ago. Or a while ago. So the content is rich. And then on top of that, you get the group coaching experience where, like I said, we take it to the next level for you to actually apply this to your life in practical ways. And that's what I love about coaching.
Right. You know, it's putting it into action. We can be information gatherers and we can be implementers. And I don't know about you, Jen, but I want to be an implementer. I want to be 1% stronger, 10% stronger at the end than I am today. I want my bandwidth to match what it is I'm doing. I want my walk to match my talk. And I don't want to just be thinking about ways that I want to let go of overing. I actually want to do it. And so the best way that I know is to walk with others who want to do the same, because then we have some accountability in our. So when somebody in one of our groups says, hey, I'm going to try on this tool or strategy, or I'm going to have this conversation, then we're like, wow, I cannot wait to hear about that and see you next week. I want you to tell me about it. So we hold each other accountable. Mm-hmm. That's another beautiful thing. And, you know, to your point, Jen, Leslie has created this amazing program. There's an ebook, there are handouts, there are videos, and our ministry is so generous, my friends. You get access to this. It doesn't get cut off in 6 weeks when you're done. Mm-mm. You have continued access so you can watch. We even record confidentially, everybody agrees, to record the coaching sessions. And as long as technology is our friend, we do that. And then you get to rewatch yourself being coached or a sister being coached. And we learn so much from each other. Our perspective goes from here to here when we are in community with incredible content and the connection that we can have with women from all walks of life, all ages. We have women in our groups in their 20s all the way to their 80s.
Yeah.
Yes, we truly do.
Yes.
And it's really beautiful to watch multi-generations hold space for one another and walk with each other into victory in areas of their life that they have been held back from.
I love that. I thank you again for just sharing how we're different demographics, different geographics, different times of story, different relationship status, right? From anywhere from our 20s to our 80s. It's incredible. It goes to show that, well, I was always taught too, if you know, God wants us to keep growing, because if we're not growing, we're dying. There is no staying still. Like, they're just not when God's involved. And so we want to always offer these types of things so that it doesn't matter what your age is or relationship status or anything. If you have that desire to grow, we want to help you achieve that. And Leanne, I can't stress enough what you had already said, whether it's 1% or 10%, or 50%, if we only have so much bandwidth, as you said. And so if you could steal back just 1% bandwidth from the enemy, would you not take that? If God's saying, here, I'm giving it to you on a silver platter, wouldn't you take it back? Instead of letting the enemy steal that from you, which is what he's after all the time. If nothing else, I tap into my feistiness sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do with this, but I sure as heck don't want the enemy to win. I don't even know what this looks like yet, but I am not going to let the enemy win. So if I can feel supported by a group led by a professional coach with amazing content, such as it is from Leslie Vernick herself, how can we not win as a kingdom? How can we not win? That is like bringing heaven down to earth, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of being powerful and just like a movement. Can you imagine if you were just 1% different in your circle of influence? When you talked about, what did you call it? An impact? No, would you say an impactor? No, I want to say influencer, but what did you say? What was the word? Started with implementer. Yeah. So when you take something and you implement it as an implementer, you also become an influencer.
That's right.
So can you imagine, think of who is within your circle of influence. It could be the, person that's working the checkout at your grocery store. It could be your Sunday school class. It could be a neighbor. It could be your spouse. It could be there's so many people we can influence by where we're at with our hearts. And with that 1% bandwidth taken back, let alone 10 or 50, can you imagine the influence we're going to have and the ripple effect that will have on everybody else? So I almost say this like I want to call me out on this, but it's almost like our duty. Like, I want to take on this challenge, if not for me, then so I can spread the word.
Indeed.
It feels like my duty in a good way.
In a good way, Jen, I love that you said that. And so here's the deal. We can influence and impact future generations by doing our work now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can stop the stuckness that can get wrapped up in our families and get interwoven in our families by taking the steps now. And so again, I want you to imagine, I want you to prayerfully consider, what do you want to be saying in September, say Labor Day?
Mm-hmm.
Labor Day, what do you want to be saying about your life? What do you want to be saying about your heart space? What do you want to be saying about the thoughts that you have and the actions that you're taking? I know for me, I want to be saying that I am stronger. I am more confident. I am more peaceful. And something I'm really working on, if I can just get a little close, something I'm really working on for me is I really want to be calmer. I'm a pretty high energy girl. I also can, if I'm caught off guard, Jen, and if I'm not in my best self and if I'm not guarding my heart well, when arrows get thrown at me, whether it be in my community, in my family, in the key relationships, even in my own thought life, I can get a little reactive. Mm-hmm. And my calm can take a back seat to the chaos. And so for me, one of the goals that I have for my summer is to bring it down a little bit. And that when stuff can come sideways into my life, I am more in alignment with who God created me to be, instead of being full of myself or my own thoughts, or even full of the chaos. So I can observe the chaos, but I don't have to absorb that chaos.
That's right.
I have to be part of me. And that's something that I'm looking forward to as I coach, walk with, and be coached during this program. What about for you, my friend? I'm curious.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about September?
I think it's observe, not absorb, like you said.
Yes.
And I don't know if you heard me say this earlier, but I know I'm still in recovery from people pleasing. So I can look back in my life and go, oh, I was all about the people pleasing. And I did see, I think maybe Dawn or somebody mentioned that I had no idea I was a people pleaser. I thought I was just a good helper. Please hear our hearts too. We know that there is a time and place to be a good helpmate, helper, servant, all of those things. It's when historically you can look back and you feel like the life has been sucked out of you and that you're drained, or that those thoughts, like Leanne was talking about, that we want to hold captive, is because if I don't do this, something bad will happen. I won't be liked, or whatever the finishing thought is for that. That's when you know it's more of a people pleasing syndrome as opposed to a calling. Okay, big difference. And I know, hey, Leanne knows this already for this weekend. I've got 15, I call them kids. My kids' friends are all in their 20s now. And I've got 15 of them coming to stay at our cottage this weekend for Canada Day. My heart is full. So some of you might be going, that's crazy. Like all weekend, I'm talking s'mores and breakfasts and lunches and dinners. And I can't wait. It fills my heart, right? It fills my heart. And I'm okay with that. And I've got things that I've got in check to make sure I keep my calm. And I've got some boundaries in place with my kids too. They don't walk all over me or expect it. They're very grateful. So you can imagine, like, that's truly my people pleasing in a servant's heart sort of way. Yeah. As opposed to if I had to do this every weekend and then their friends showed up all the time and just expected it. And like, now I'm going broke at the bank, let alone my emotional well-being. Big difference, right? Big difference. So only you know what that is. Only you know what that is and what it's costing you. And Indeed. So to join one of these programs, I mean, financially, time-wise, yes, it's an investment. Energy-wise, we want you to show up as best you can. Not meaning that you have to show up as your best self. Just show up and be wanting to be different. Just get something different out of it each and every week. And when you can show up like that, it's invaluable. Absolutely invaluable. And that's what I love about seeing this and seeing the growth and learning for myself. When is it okay? It's like this weekend, I'm totally excited, versus if it was something else and I had to do this like all the time. No. And I'm learning the difference. That's
so powerful. And, thank you for your vulnerability of saying we are always growing and learning. And, if you are having trouble saying your yeses and your nos with conviction, if you are giving more than you're receiving in your relationships, right? If you're fearing conflict this summer, goodness knows the world that we are in right now is full of chaos and conflict, and the world is changing faster than some of us can meet the change. And that might be happening in your families as well. You're wondering, oh my goodness, how am I going to meet all these changes that I'm experiencing? We can help you to do that by learning to resource yourself and this material and others within the group. We don't want the demands on you to be greater than your resources. And that's why we do group coaching. The power is so huge. And the transformation that happens within the group is palatable. You can see it, taste it, feel it, even if it's on Zoom. I mean, I'm even watching you all in this thread and how you are impacting and influencing one another by being here. Imagine being with the same women for 6 weeks, walking out the curriculum that Leslie has given us and then being coached through it. So like we said, this is not a book study.
Mm-mm. It's so much more. It is so much more than that, and so powerful. I mean, as I know you're going to think we're doing this ad nauseum, but it really is that strength together as you learn the content. And you have, for those that have experienced the group setting before, you can see changes in each other that even I, as a coach, I've picked up on. But another woman will go, hey, Leanne, I can't believe it. Since week 2, I've seen you just blossom, or something like that. You can actually get to witness changes and growth in others that will become inspiring to you. And guess what? We usually don't see it in ourselves, and we'll get fed back into us by other women that are seeing the same thing in us. And that's really amazing to get all of these different perspectives pouring into us in such a healthy, uplifting way. It's so amazing. So I am conscious of the time. I know I have to go in just a few minutes. There's a couple of questions in the chat. So I don't know that you can actually see them, Leanne, because I know you're on your phone.
I can't.
No, so that's fine. So one of them is around specific. So someone's asking for a group in Oceanside, California. Who do I contact? So we don't arrange local in-person groups or anything like that. What we encourage is, in this environment, you have like-minded Christian women, it's open to women only, that will be in this together. And then from there, we have had, like we said, spin-off groups that are self-led. We've sometimes had people that are like, I think so, I just saw someone in the chat earlier that said, I got to have lunch or something with the Conquer sister yesterday. So Conquer is a different program that we have, and they do have regional groups as well. Conquer is a completely different sort of support system that we have as a subscription membership. It's different than what we're talking about here. So we don't specifically help people get connected in person. We strongly encourage you to speak up and say, I'm from here. Anyone else from Pennsylvania? Anyone else like me? I'm always like, hey, anyone else in Canada? You know, like Canada's a big country, but still, you know, just trying to feel like you've got something in common is a really great place to start. So can't help you specifically around your neck of the woods in California, but we strongly encourage you to not only join a group like this, but you also then become a part of a private Facebook group of all of the class participants. So you may be in a group with Leanne with 20, 25 women, but you then also become a part of the larger private Facebook community that's just open to this cohort of moving beyond people-pleasing participants. And so then you even have a greater chance to say, okay, maybe no one in my class, but anyone else from like Ontario, Canada to Toronto, even like something. And you'll be able to get connected, very, very well connected. But don't ever let geography stop you, please. I'm a testimony to that, like those powerful friendships I've shared with you. Leanne and I can count on less than one hand how many times we've seen each other and hugged each other in person. And we've been such great friends for 12 years. So, you know, you don't limit yourself to geography is what I'm saying. So anything else to add while I look at the other questions? Yeah.
I do have something to add to that.
Yeah.
And so we have groups that meet in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So if you go to leslievernick.com/people pleasing course, for those of you who are just listening and not watching, you can't see it on the screen. leslievernick.com/people pleasing course. You will see on that website, if you scroll through, you say, I'm ready to sign up. If you click that banner, you will see all the different class times listed. Find a time that works well for you, that you can commit to be live to as much as possible those 6 weeks, and join in that. We have various times, everything from 9 in the morning, I think Pacific time, all the way to 7:30 or so Eastern time. So there's a time zone for everyone in that space. We have women over across the pond, Scotland, the UK, all Australia.
Australia's been a big one lately. Yeah. Thank you to all my Commonwealth sisters out there. Yeah.
Indeed. And so find a time that works for you. Jump into a group, reserve your seat. They will sell out. We always sell out of this program.
And we've already got groups that are sold out already. And we've only been open for a couple of days. So it does fill up quickly because this is a short period of time that we launched this, and it's a shorter program in the sense that it's intense and it's 6 weeks in a row. So we kind of launch it with intensity, we get it done with intensity and love, and yeah, it does fill up really, really quickly. So I do have to run, Leanne. Can you handle it from here? I know you can, but
well, I'm trusting that I'm going to have bandwidth. I think that we can. You said you had one more question.
Yeah, there was only one more question. It was something about, I'll just paraphrase here. So it was, well, actually two. One was about scholarships. So if ever that's your situation and you've heard about some of the scholarship offerings that we have, please reach out to assistant@leslievernick.com. Okay, so there's different criteria at different times and that sort of thing. So if you think that you really will participate and do all the hard work, and yet you could benefit from something like that, please email assistant@leslievernick.com. And then the other one was, it sort of ended with, is joining the people pleasing course wise, even though it's not on my front burner right now? And I would say it is, because if you're even questioning it, I'm kind of like, well, what would it take to put it on your front burner? What's holding you back? What's putting it on the back burner? It's still a burner. It's still warming you up, firing you up somehow. And because this is a limited time thing before Conquer opens again in the fall, or before we open Walking in Core Strength again, another one of our amazing popular programs. I mean, this is your best way to get connected, and for a short period of time, because I think we also know that the financial investment is going to go up next year.
It is. This is the last year we're going to be able to offer it at this.
It's getting, it's so it's all good. But that was it for the questions, specifically around the power of coaching in the group format. And so before I run, Leanne, I'll just either turn it over to you or just invite everyone still in the chat. And even if you're watching this later, you can still post your questions and ask. And the coaches are in there periodically, and we will do our best to respond to you. So even if you're not here live with us right now and you still have a question that you want answered, feel free to put it into the chat and we'll be able to catch up with you at some point.
Indeed. And if you're wondering, I want to encourage you, click on the link. Please click on the link. There's a video there about, I don't know if it's 13 to 15 minutes from Leslie, and she's going to talk more about the program. So if you want to hear more from the creator herself, the gal who has given us this amazing opportunity to be here to share with you today, click on that link and watch that video. And we just warmly invite you. And thank you to those of you who have committed to join us. We look forward to working with you.
Yeah. Well, I've got to run. Other people to serve.
All right.
So
me too.
Loved you all. Safe travels, my friend. Safety to everyone that's out there. And I cannot wait to meet you in person, whether it's through one of our own groups or through Facebook when you get to be a part of this amazing program. So we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Love you, Jen.
Love you too. Bye.